We talk about artificial intelligence living in the cloud, but the cloud isn't in the sky. It's on the ground, in vast, windowless warehouses packed with humming machines. They're called data centers, and in 2026, building them has become a trillion-dollar war. Everyone talks about the chips and the clever software, but an AI data center is, first and foremost, a physical beast. A monster of copper, steel, and rare metals that drinks rivers of electricity and water. And whoever controls those raw materials quietly controls the future of AI itself. So what is one really? Picture a building the size of 100 football fields, filled floor to ceiling with computers. Not the laptop kind, but specialized machines stacked in racks and wired into a single, colossal brain. This is where the internet, and now artificial intelligence, actually lives. And the scale of spending is almost unreal. In 2026, the world will pour over $1 trillion into building these things, more than 600 billion of it aimed squarely at artificial intelligence. It is one of the largest construction booms in human history. Inside, a data center is really four things bolted together: the compute, the chips that do the thinking, the memory that feeds them data, the networking, miles of cable that link it all, and the power and cooling that keep it alive. Every one of those depends on physical raw materials. At the center of it all sit the crown jewels, the graphics chips, or GPUs. A single top-end AI chip can cost more than a car, and one data center may hold tens of thousands of them. This is where most of that $1 trillion is actually spent. And the first great limit isn't chips, it's electricity. A single rack of the newest AI machines can draw more power than a whole street of houses, 3 to 4 times the last generation. Whole data centers are now delayed, not for lack of chips, but for lack of power to run them. Now the part almost no one talks about. Before a single line of code runs, a data center has to be built from raw, physical materials dug out of the ground, and the amounts are staggering. It starts with the building itself. Thousands of tons of steel for the frame, and enough concrete to pour a small town. Before a single server even arrives, a data center is already one of the heaviest structures a company can build. Start with copper. It is everywhere in a data center: the wiring, the cooling, the power lines. A single large AI site can swallow up to 50,000 tons of it, 3 to 4 times an ordinary building. Copper alone makes up more than 80% of a data center's metal by mass. So where does all that copper begin? In enormous open-pit mines, carved into the earth mostly in Chile and Peru, with the Congo rising fast behind them. The rock they dig is less than 1% copper. To win a few kilograms of metal, they blast and haul away a full ton of stone. It is one of the largest earth-moving operations on the planet. Turning that rock into pure wire takes a long, brutal chain. First, the ore is crushed and floated in water to concentrate it. Then it's smelted at over 1,000 degrees into rough, blister copper. Finally, electricity purifies it into sheets that are 99.99% pure. Only then can it safely carry current inside a data center. And here is the twist. The copper is mined in South America and Africa, but roughly half of the world's copper is refined in China. It buys the raw ore, turns it into finished metal, and by doing so, quietly controls the price and the flow of the one material every data center, every power grid, and every electric car cannot live without. But here's a twist hiding inside copper itself. The wire in your walls is about 99.99% pure. The copper laid down inside an advanced computer chip has to be 99.9999%, 100 times cleaner. At that scale, a single stray atom can wreck a chip, and that ultra-pure copper is a choke point all its own. So how do you make copper that clean? You start with ordinary 99.99% cathode, then torture out the last impurities. The key trick is called zone refining. You melt a narrow band and slowly move it along the bar, and the impurities, which prefer to stay liquid, get dragged to one end. Repeat that again and again, and the copper left behind climbs to 6 nines of purity. It's then cast into the discs, called targets, that coat the wiring inside every advanced chip. And around 60% come from one Japanese firm, JX Metals, which raises a bigger question: will copper ever be replaced? Inside the very newest chips, it's already starting, but the answer is subtle. Copper isn't dying, it's being pushed aside only where it can no longer keep up, and holding firm everywhere else. Here's why. At the tiniest scales, below about 10 nanometers, copper actually gets worse. Its resistance shoots up and it starts to fail. So from around the 2 nanometer generation, chip makers are switching the finest wires to other metals: ruthenium, molybdenum, and cobalt. In tests, ruthenium alone cut resistance in the top layers by as much as 60%. But this isn't copper's funeral. The plan is a hybrid: exotic metals for the very finest lines, and good old copper for everything wider. For carrying data, light is already winning. Optical fiber is replacing copper for the fastest links. But for raw power, the megawatts feeding the racks, copper is almost irreplaceable. For decades to come, AI will still run on rivers of copper. Then there's the humble transformer, the fridge-sized boxes that step power up and down. They're built from a special grain-oriented electrical steel, and the world is desperately short of them. Lead times now stretch up to 5 or 6 years. More than half of new data centers risk being delayed, just waiting for them. Look at the full shopping list, and a pattern jumps out: copper, electrical steel, gallium for the fiber optics, rare earths for magnets and cooling, specialized memory chips, and the logic chips themselves. Now look at the last column: who controls each one. Some of these you've never heard of: gallium and germanium, buried in the fiber optics and power electronics; rare earths in the fans and generators; tungsten in the alloys, tiny quantities, but without them, the whole machine stops. And it isn't just metal. All that computing runs hot, ferociously hot. So many data centers are cooled with water, millions of liters of it, sometimes drawn from regions that can barely spare a drop. Compute, it turns out, has a thirst. So where does all this come from? The copper is mined in Chile, Peru, and the Congo. The rare metals from a scatter of countries. But mining is only half the story. The real power, as always, lies in who refines and processes it. And there, one name dominates. China, it processes around 90% of the world's key minerals. It refines most of the planet's copper. It controls roughly 98% of the gallium and 90% of the rare earth magnets a data center needs. The West may design the AI, but the raw materials run through China. And China has already shown its hand. When tensions rose, it restricted exports of gallium and germanium, the very metals inside the fiber optics and chips of every data center. A quiet reminder that it can tighten the tap whenever it chooses. There's another choke point in an unexpected place. Every AI chip needs a special, ultra-fast memory called HBM. It's dominated by a single Korean company, SK Hynix, with Samsung and America's Micron behind. It's sold out for years, and one crucial material for it comes from a lone Japanese supplier. A hidden thread, the whole AI boom hangs by. If this feels familiar, it should. Just like batteries, solar, and rare earths, the story repeats. The West invents and designs, but the physical guts, the copper, the metals, the memory, run through China, Korea, and Taiwan. AI's body, like the robots, is built in the East. So who is actually building all this? A handful of American giants: Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and Meta, each pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into data centers in the biggest corporate spending spree the world has ever seen. They are, in effect, building the factories of intelligence. And at the very heart of everyone sits a single company, NVIDIA. Founded in 1993 by Jensen Huang and two friends, it makes the specialized chips, the GPUs, that train artificial intelligence. That near monopoly briefly made it the most valuable company on Earth. You cannot run a trillion-dollar build-out without power, so the tech giants are turning into energy companies, buying gas turbines, signing deals for nuclear reactors, even reopening old power plants. In the race for AI, electricity has become as precious as the chips. And these giants reshape whole regions. A single data center can cost tens of billions, draw the power of a city, and yet employ only a few hundred people once it's running. Towns fight to attract them, then argue over the power bills and the water they drain. And China isn't watching from the sidelines. It's building its own vast data centers, powered by its own grid and supplied by the very materials it already controls. This is fast becoming a two-superpower race for the physical foundation of artificial intelligence. Step back and the truth is almost ironic. The limit on artificial intelligence may not be clever algorithms at all. It's copper, it's transformers, it's memory chips and megawatts. The most digital technology ever created is being held back by the most physical things imaginable. Some analysts believe AI could trigger a critical minerals supercycle, a surge in demand for copper, gallium, and rare earths not seen in generations. The gold rush is digital, but the picks and shovels are made of metal. Not everyone is convinced. Some warn this is a bubble, that we're building far more capacity than the world can use, and that a reckoning is coming. Others say we're only at the beginning. Either way, the concrete is being poured and the copper laid right now. So the West is scrambling to catch up, opening copper mines, building steel and memory plants, trying to cut its dependence. But it's years behind, and for some of these metals, it imports almost every single gram. You cannot conjure a supply chain overnight. In every gold rush, the ones who get rich aren't the miners. They're the people selling the picks and shovels. In the AI gold rush, those tools are chips, copper, memory, and power. And a surprising share of them are controlled, not in Silicon Valley, but in the East. So who wins? America holds the money, the models, and NVIDIA's chips. But the physical foundation, the metal, the memory, and the power, runs on a supply chain the West does not control. The war for AI is being fought as much in mines and factories as in lines of code. Next time on Future Frame, the resource these hungry machines drink by the millions of liters, and the coming global fight over fresh water. Subscribe so you don't miss it.